Other lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We have both good news and bad news. The good news is that according to Ryan Taylor, Arsenal will not be done with their transfer business after signing Mikel, who is very close to joining Arsenal. Arsenal will move to sign a wide attacker, or you can call them wingers. Arsenal are still very focused on bolstering their forward line this summer. The bad news is, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are looking at Sporting Lisbon attacker Victor Gyökeres as unaffordable this summer. The striker market is blunt, according to people at Arsenal, and therefore Gyökeres was seen as the golden opportunity this summer. However, the price is too much, and he is unaffordable for them this summer. Arsenal are not looking to do a big deal, 60 million, 70 million, 80 million, and therefore Victor Gyökeres would fall, outside what we want to spend this summer. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Arsenal are going for a winger over a striker. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below. And Gyökeres is unaffordable. Are we really trying to say that we cannot afford Victor Gyökeres? I would love to know your thoughts and opinions in the comment box below as well. So let's get into it. Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed that Sporting Lisbon attacker Victor Gyökeres is unaffordable for Arsenal this summer. Mikel is expected to hunt for a new attacker this summer, although possibly a new winger as opposed to a centre forward, despite Edin Nketiah's anticipated exit from Arsenal this summer. So they're saying right here, what I've just read to you and what you've just seen there literally means that Arsenal are going to pass on the opportunity to sign Victor Gyökeres this summer and probably try to go and sign him next summer, or leave the opportunity to another club, and then next summer we could go back for Benjamin Sesko. I remember in June, there was a publication, I think it was The Athletic, that showed Arsenal were keeping their relationships very well between Leipzig and the camp of the player, Benjamin Sesko, with hope that Arsenal could sign Sesko in the summer next year. So let me understand this. Is Gyökeres unaffordable for us, or we are not willing to spend the money on a player like Victor Gyökeres? Because those are two things that are very different. I don't think Gyökeres is unaffordable. When I look at how much Arsenal have spent on players in the past without selling, I don't think Victor Gyökeres is unaffordable. And I don't think that we can use the excuse that he's expensive. Even if Arsenal don't get a price cut, even if Arsenal just decided to sign him for 86 million, we can afford him. We can pay 86 million. But I think the idea of unaffordable comes from the fact that Arsenal don't value a center forward. Arsenal don't look at a striker as important as a winger, as a midfielder, or as a defender as well. If Mikel really thought that a striker was important, we would have signed a striker first before signing Ricardo Calafiori. We would have signed a striker first before signing Mikel Merino. Because I tell you, in midfield, although Arsenal need real cover, we still had options. Even if Arsenal said, we are not going to sell Emil Smith-Rowe, we are going to use him, and therefore we don't sign Mikel Merino and sign a striker, I would understand that. Even if Arsenal said, we are not going to sign Ricardo Calafiori at left back, we are going to use Julian Timber there for a whole season, I would understand that. So it's not about our inability to afford Gyökeres. It's about Arsenal not really valuing a striker this summer. And I understand why Mikel Arteta is doing this. I understand where it's coming from. I think he's looked at it in this way. We have so many players that can play as center forwards, and after all, our style of play doesn't really require a traditional center forward. So he's looking at Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is the mixture of a traditional center forward and a modern center forward. And then he's looked at Gabriel Jesus, pure modern center forward, and he has gone, I don't need a striker. I don't need one. I can get rid of Edin Nketiah and go and bring in a winger and just try to play around, these players around. One day, Jesus plays at center forward, and the other day, Kai Havertz plays at center forward as well. I understand. Now, this is my problem with this, right? This is my problem. First and foremost, this summer, Arsenal have sold better than any other summer. 35 million for Emil Smith-Rowe. We got I think 10 million for Nuno Tavares. We will get some good money for Edin Nketiah, maybe 27 million euros, and some money for Reece Nelson. So you're telling me that Arsenal this summer didn't have any money apart from sales. That is not true. There is no way we came into a summer that leads to the ultimate season, that leads to the most important season, and we didn't have any cash apart from what we are going to get in sales. Because if you look at the books right now, Mikel Merino is cheaper than Emil Smith Rowe, right? Emil Smith Rowe is 41 million euros. Mikel Merino is 32 million euros. That means that Arsenal are making a profit right there. Riccardo Calafiori is 42 million euros. And when you combine all the other deals that are going to happen, Edin Ketia for 27 million euros, you add maybe Rhys Nelson, maybe for 20 million euros, and a couple of other players there, you get the right price for Riccardo Calafiori. So it looks like Arsenal, this summer, we might sell, get the money, and then reinvest it, which is not bad. But I thought we would have some money to inject into this squad, especially what we did last season. I thought after last season, our priority would be at least inject some good money that could see the project over the line. Because if Arsenal start winning, if we win the Champions League, more money to the Cronkies. If we win the Premier League, more money to the Cronkies. And if we win silverware, we are going to sell our players at a higher rate as compared to right now, right? If we sold Emil Smith Rowe next season or next summer after winning the Premier League, he would be expensive. He would be more valuable. There's no question about that. So Arsenal not signing a striker, it's a little bit a problem to me. It's a big problem to me because I thought it was among our priorities, but it turns out it's actually very low on the priority list. So Victor Gyökeres, unaffordable? No, I'm not going to buy into that story. He's not unaffordable. We just don't want to sign a striker. We just don't want to, we just don't want to look at a center forward as important. And I pray that this season we don't end up regretting we wish we had signed a striker, because this model works like this. The current model Arsenal operating, all other players around the striker, around Kai Havertz, must be able to score goals, and they must be able to deliver. And what we saw last season was Odegaard's numbers significantly dropping, and we saw Martinelli's numbers significantly dropping as well. Yes, other players scored goals, and that was nice, but that should have been a warning sign that you go and get a striker. Sign a number 9. Sign a guy whose numbers are always going to be up there because he's focused on his numbers. All these other players, they're not focused on scoring goals. That is not why they come onto the pitch. Yes, they score. 15, that's good. But next season, he's going to score 3. But look at Erling Haaland. Look at Kun Aguero. Ever since those players arrived at Manchester City, each of them has been giving Manchester City at least 19 goals a season. Haaland last season had a very poor season, but what is a poor season by Erling Haaland standards is a wonderful, fantastic season by any striker we have seen post Van Persie at Arsenal. So for me, a striker is a necessity. A striker was a necessity and should have been a necessity. And Arsenal have not actually treated the striker position as a necessity. It's not that we cannot afford him. It's just that we don't feel we need him because we have Kai Havertz and because we have Gabriel Jesus. But when these guys score 2 goals a season, and when they score a combined total of 20 goals a season, both of them, that's when we will know that we needed a striker. So it's now about luck. If Arsenal get lucky and we get to score more goals from other areas, that's okay. But if we get to a point where Trossard numbers are dropping, Saka numbers are dropping, Martinelli numbers are dropping, and Odegaard numbers are dropping, where are the goals really? Where are we expecting to get the goals? You cannot rely on Jesus' finishing, and you cannot rely on Havertz finishing for you to go and win the Premier League. So that's the bad news. Now let's talk about the good news. Now the good news is that Arsenal are working to sign a striker, a winger next. They don't feel the striker market is abundant. They don't feel like they have enough options on the striker market. So a winger is going to be the next signing after Mikel Merino. The Mail, credit to them, they're the first people to break this story. The Arsenal were working to sign a winger, and they said Leroy Sané could be Arsenal's third choice signing. So I think why we have gone for a winger over a striker is very clear. I think Mikel Arteta, for a long period of time now, he has worked on a winger deal, and it just didn't happen. Actually, for the last 3 years, Mikel has demanded for a winger. Edu has worked on different deals to bring a winger at Arsenal, and it didn't just happen. And this summer, this is the opportune summer. This is the opportune moment. There are so many players in very different brackets, in very different categories that can actually come in at Arsenal and do the deal. You have the likes of Jasper Aspirilla, who are very, very young. He can just come in to give Saka a bit of rest at times. You have the likes of Chiesa, competition. You have the likes of Rafinha, could even play more games as compared to a player like maybe Aspirilla if you signed him. And then you have the likes of Leroy Sané, experience, and still very, very, I would say, still in his prime. 28, you're still in your prime. So the winger market, as opposed to the striker market, is very rich. And that's why Arsenal is saying, let's go and sign a winger, because with wingers, there is a lot available. With strikers, there is not a lot available. So why I said I would support both views is we need a winger. There's no question about that. I've been ranting for the past, I don't know how many days, months and years, about Arsenal getting, enough cover to rest Saka. So I've been ranting about that. And if this is the summer where Arsenal are going to go and finally do it, if this is the summer where Arsenal are going to realize that Saka needs to rest, because England will never rest him. God, if they had the chance to play him at the Olympics, they would even play him at the Olympics. So England are never going to rest Bukayo Saka. So what I'm going to say here is the problem is we are going for one or the other. It should have been both. And that was my vision. It should have been both, not one of the other. Going for a winger next is okay. You can sign a winger before the Premier League starts, and then you can sign a striker after this Premier League starts. But if it's one or the other, that's where we are put in a tight condition. And why I think a winger right now was not the maximum priority is Gabriel Jesus is back, and is back with fire, and is back on form. So if Gabriel Jesus is back on form and is playing well and is taking on players and is beating players 1v1, aren't we really looking at Gabriel Jesus as a right winger, stroke left winger? Isn't that the same position? Isn't that the same profile we want to sign a player? Because let's be honest, unless it's just going to come from the bench the whole season, Gabriel Jesus is not going to be a starter at Arsenal. Like, he's not going to start ahead of Kai Havertz. No way. So if you want Sané, what Sané does is what Gabriel Jesus does. If you want Chiesa, of course, what Chiesa does is not what Jesus does. Chiesa is more direct and is he's a typical winger. So if Gabriel Jesus is available, why don't we shift him into a winger, because he can do that? And of course, what we have seen this summer is Mikel loves to play him through the middle, but the player wants to shift outside. So why don't we play him on the wide flanks, left flank or right flank, depending on where the opportunity comes, and then we go and sign a center forward? Why don't we do that? Honestly, I think all the wingers out there, even if we signed Chiesa, even if we signed Rafinha, it's still the same. You're coming in as a backup for Saka. And that's the problem. So with Gabriel Jesus already being an established member of the squad, I think it would be nice for us to use him in different areas, in different ways, because of his versatility. And then you go and bring in a striker to compete with Kai Havertz. So Gabriel Jesus competes for space on the right wing and the left wing. And then we bring in a striker to compete with Kai Havertz. I think that would have been the smarter thing to do. But Arsenal is saying the market for strikers is bland. I don't think you need a very rich market. I mean, last summer, the market for CDMs wasn't that rich. There was Rice, there was Caicedo, and Liverpool ended up signing Wataru Endo. And that shows you that the market was shallow, the market was not as rich as we thought it would have been, and maybe Romeo Lavia. But Arsenal ended up getting a very good Maybe not a very good deal, but a very good player in Declan Rice. So I think we should have done the same when it comes to the striker situation. But let me know. Do you think the winger is important? I mean, it's important to get this out of the way. We've been singing for a long time. Can we get a winger? Can we get a winger? Can we get a winger? So it's important that we get it out of the way. But was it the priority? No. For me, coming into this window, the midfield was my priority. A backup goalkeeper that is ready to be a backup goalkeeper was my priority, and a striker and a left winger, right? So if really, I thought a striker would be something we were going to work on. But if they're saying it's unaffordable, then it looks like it's less likely that, to happen than we anticipated. I don't like this. I really, really don't like this. I don't like going into a season where I feel a lot of energy to support the team, and then I have that one reason to give me an excuse. I wouldn't want to have an excuse that's going into this season. But anyway, we'll wait to see what happens. Wait.